Aang is a pacifist. In a perfect world, he would live in peace, preferring laughter to fighting. However, he is also the chosen one, with the burden of defeating the Fire Nation and bringing balance to the world. Is it possible to reconcile these two roles? It's not an easy question, and it's not meant to be. Much of what I find interesting in Aang as a character comes from how he attempts to navigate between these two roles. In the end, he does find harmony between them, defeating the Fire Lord without killing him. It's a lovely fight, but I have some minor quibbles with it. I've seen a lot of people say that Aang should not have been able to defeat Ozai using a power that we had not hitherto seen in the show, but I have never had a problem with that. It's in line with the philosophy of the show about finding a different option when no one else offers you one. It's kind of the only reason this final fight is interesting on a thematic level. If it had just been a matter of Aang using something he had already learned to defeat the Fire Lord, and doing it in a conventional way, that would have just been a showcase of his skills. And that's not really what I want out of a finale. What I want is something interesting and dramatically impactful. Aang goes into the fight not knowing how he's going to defeat the Fire Lord. He has every reason to be afraid, but he stands his ground and he figures something out. Something that he might have been unsure about at the beginning of the fight, and I respect that. What I have much more of a problem with is the contrivance that allows Aang to enter the Avatar state again. He only enters the Avatar state because Ozai happens to strike him, causing a rock to jut out onto the point of his back where he was struck by lightning, and that undoes the chakra blocking that happened to him at the end of Season 2. Now, I do like Aang getting into the Avatar state. We don't know if energy bending, which is very mysterious, would have been possible were it not for the Avatar state, but regardless of that, dramatically, the show gains a lot from having Aang go into the Avatar state and saying, no, I do not want to kill him. Sure, we get Aang deciding to not shoot him with lightning, but seeing him in the Avatar state and then deciding to reject the wills of the other avatars and go his own way offers a very nice parallel to the end of Season 1, wherein Aang just wreaks complete destruction with the Avatar state and feels very disempowered and terrified about it afterward. My biggest problem with the whole chakra unblocking thing is that it makes his defeat of Ozai more one of luck than anything else. Getting this power from the Lion Turtle only happens because he demonstrates to the Lion Turtle that he is worthy. And even then, he's still a little unsure about this power, so he has to trust in it. It tests his resolve, his faith, if you will. Whereas the whole chakra unblocking thing is just a matter of luck. As such, it is worth asking whether Aang made the right decision when he did not redirect Ozai's lightning right back at him. It's easy to imagine a scenario in which Aang's unwillingness to kill Ozai leads to Aang's own death, and if this does happen, the world would be doomed, millions of people in the Earth Kingdom would have died, and Aang's decision to prioritize his own ethics over the good of the people would have looked a little selfish. Again, Aang's actions are a matter of belief. Not precisely religious or spiritual belief, but belief nonetheless. He had no reason initially to believe that he would be able to defeat the Fire Nation and the Fire Lord without killing the Fire Lord, and yet he persevered anyway. Whether that is wise or foolish depends on your perspective. Perhaps a more interesting question than was Aang right, is does Aang's choice to kill the Fire Lord matter as much as he believes it does? Zuko wonders whether Aang will be willing to kill the Fire Lord. This question haunts him, and not only because Zuko is more practical and results-driven than ideological and abstract. Yes, he does tend to lean toward the Kyoshi end of the spectrum, as opposed to the Aang end of the spectrum, but this is not the only reason for his skepticism. When Zuko confronts his father, he does not kill him, even though he has the chance to do it. The reason he gives is that this is not his destiny. But that's not exactly satisfying to us, the viewer, and perhaps it's more interesting to think about it through the lens of Zuko wanting to be done with violence. As he says in the Firebending Masters, he does not want to be fueled by hate and rage anymore. Yes, Ozai burned his face, but he does not want to repay that by killing him. He doesn't want to keep up the cycle of violence. This is a major reason why he decides to accompany Katara on her revenge quest. I've seen too many people say that Zuko wants her to kill the guy who killed her mother, but that's not really in line with Zuko's experience up to this point. He believes he knows Katara, and he believes he knows that she won't do it. She won't kill this guy because she's like him. And Zuko turns out to be right about this. By confronting the darkness inside her, Katara learns that it's not revenge that she wants. It's catharsis. But ask yourselves, what good would Zuko's moral stance have done had the Fire Lord killed Aang? If Zuko had known that Aang would not have been willing to kill the Fire Lord, would Zuko have done it? It's a real question that deserves to be thought about. We do not know, and Zuko does not know either. It's true that there's no textual evidence, precisely, that this is on his mind, but I don't see how it couldn't be. It would have been wrong to kill Ozai, morally, Zuko believes, but would it have been politically wise? And even if the answer to that question is yes, does that matter? How do we square our personal ethical convictions with practical necessities? I've been thinking a lot about that question lately. Aang consults with the past avatars for guidance in episode 319, The Old Masters, and in this episode I find myself agreeing more than I would like with Avatar Yang Chen. When Aang comments that the monks taught him that enlightenment can only come through detachment, Yang Chen does not contradict him. This is correct. But the Avatar's duty is not to enlightenment. The Avatar's duty is to the world. If the Avatar has to choose between enlightenment and saving the world, they need to choose service and sacrifice. All of this is relatively non-controversial, but what's more intriguing is how Yang Chen extends that argument. When Aang says that all life is sacred, she says that he's right, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong to take the Fire Lord's life. If the Avatar's duty is to the people and not to abstract ideological convictions, what does that mean about the conflict going within him that stems from how, number one, he does not want to kill Ozai, but number two, it would be easier to stop Ozai and thus save the lives of millions of people by killing him? There are no easy answers here. Again, I like that about this show. The fight between Zuko and Azula carries this striking, somber air of ritualistic inevitability, but the fight between Aang and Ozai feels more jagged and sporadic. Things went Aang's way, sure, but they just as easily could have gone another way. When I watch the Zuko and Azula fight, I leave with a sense of haunted catharsis. There's the emotional intensity of a grand opera, and the grim fatalism of the best Greek tragedies. But the fight between Aang and Ozai is unsatisfying to me. I'm not saying it's a bad fight, but I'm saying that I don't leave with that sense of catharsis. It's unsettling. It's like coming out of an election, your party won by just a few points. Things should never have been that close. Now, if you just look at the show, you could say that none of this matters, because good triumphs over evil. Aang defeats the Fire Lord, and the Fire Lord goes to prison, and Zuko takes the throne. But having a powerful leader who ruled by divine right in prison during this time of political turmoil and tumult is not exactly a stable situation. And I admire the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics for realizing this. You can't turn a nation that has only known war for a century into a nation that shares its advanced industrial technology with the rest of the world without running into conflicts with the bureaucracy and military. The conflict with the new Ozai society that emerges during Smoke and Shadow carries the same air of inevitability as the final Agni Kai fight, but with a lot more cynicism. Fear and anxiety spread throughout the Fire Nation. This is a real Treaty of Versailles situation for a lot of people. Nationalists see Zuko as a weak and yielding leader. They believe he's making the Fire Nation bow to other nations. Or at worst, they believe he's a traitor who has disgraced the name of the Fire Nation. They see him as we see, say, Neville Chamberlain or Marshal Pétain. The new Ozai Society, led by Mei's father, wants to restore Ozai to the throne, believing that only he can restore the national glory of the Fire Nation. It is fortunate that Mei's father is a bumbling buffoon, because if he wasn't, he might have succeeded. Ozai still has power, even in prison. Because Zuko is Ozai's son and the rightful heir to the throne, there are not a lot of people who see him as a completely illegitimate monarch. But his job is more difficult because people constantly compare him to the still living Ozai, and not always flatteringly. None of this means that, yes, Aang absolutely should have killed Ozai, but the show wants us to consider the question. Both during the series and afterwards, the complications created by Ozai continuing to live are not easily resolved. To quote from one of my all-time favorite shows, the characters in Avatar have to be comfortable with living in the not knowing. The peace and unity they have established is tenuous. Ozai continues to lurk in the shadows. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is a challenging, poignant show that never lets us off easy. It drives us to ask daring philosophical questions. And I'm glad it's so popular and so acclaimed. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.